And yet again, we are back. It's the Post-Podium Podcast where we are all truth and no sodium. I am your co-host, Aramis.
And this is Key. And like the Bills Nation would say, where else would you rather be than right here, right now?
Oh, I like that.
See? Yeah, I'm ready. I'm locked and loaded today.
Yeah, buddy.
Let's
you
go.
coming with it today.
Let's go.
All right. I like that. We're going to keep it up, too, because we continue in the series now where we're talking about teams in the AFC East. Last week, we went over the Miami Dolphins. We talked about, the threat that they, potentially present to the Bills. And this week, we are talking about those boys over at Gillette Stadium.
The Musket Men.
The Musket Men.
The Musket Men.
New England Patriots. Patriot Nation. This show, baby. This show. So, let's dive into it. We obviously want to start off with, the question being, what are the strengths and weaknesses of the New England Patriots? Let's start with their strengths. What would you say their strengths are?
Well, going back to 2022, the strengths will be the defense. Obviously, they run the 4-3. They're stacked, and they just keep getting better. Your Belichickian logic has prevailed over the years, and what we're seeing is, this is where he's been drafting. If you look at everything he's been doing over his tenure with New England, his drafts are predominantly defensive backs and defensive line and some linebackers spattered in. So I will tell you, though, ninth in defense in 2022 was what kept them afloat. They don't have a defensive coordinator per se in name, honestly, because Bill Belichick says, what did he say? I actually do have a quote from Bill Belichick in terms of how he looks at
something to the effect of, I don't need that trash.
Well, he said, and I quote, "I'm the head coach. Ultimately, I'm responsible for everything. So let's just leave it at that." See, when he says, "Let's just leave it at that," that tells you Bill Belichick said this, because this is something that he would say to anybody that asked him a question that he didn't like. Yeah. He also said that he's not big on titles. So that was in response to somebody asking him about why Matt Patricia was the offensive coordinator and why there really wasn't a defensive coordinator name. If you know anything about New England, there was no offensive coordinator and there was no defensive coordinator. And if you look at the coaching roster, there's not even a space for those two titles. There's nothing listed. It's just I think it's a run game coordinator, passing, and executive or something like that. So
that's a whole lot different this year, boy.
Oh,
that's a whole lot different.
And see, when you said you want to start with strengths, I'm like, I don't know how I can do that, because that's going to be the strength of the show. I already know where this is going. So, you know what? Let's start with the weaknesses, actually.
Okay,
because the strengths are going to prevail over this whole thing.
All right.
Weaknesses, obviously, offense, which is going to segue into where you want to go with the show.
Uh-huh.
But, last year, the offensive line just was no good. They were a seed. Mac Jones running for his life. Yeah. You're looking at Matt Patricia, who I didn't even know who told him he could be in command of an offense. Working with a young timer, Mac Jones. Mac Jones is throwing verticals. He's throwing deep, and that's not his strength. That's not what he did in college, and that's not what he's going to do in the league if he's going to have any sustained success.
Yeah.
Also, you look at your skill players. The skill play was abysmal. They were ranked as the 26th unit in the league, and that's wide receivers, tight ends, and running backs. So they're pulling up the rear. So we're looking at possibly an upturn for 2023.
Yeah.
I think that's something the Bills need to be weary of. Bills Nation definitely needs to pay attention to. You definitely want to know we are not going to be handed the division again, because everybody's getting better. But keeping with the weaknesses, I think Bill Belichick's age is catching up with him, actually.
What makes you say that?
I don't know. It just looks like the game is passing him by. Honestly, him himself. But I don't want to go too much into it, because that's going to be kind of solidified in your strengths again. I'm trying to dance around where we're going. I think you guys can kind of tell where this is going to end up with if you're reading the tea leaves here. But if you look at Bill Belichick, did you know that both of his sons are coaches on his defense?
I did not know that. I knew the one was part of the defense. But
well, yeah, you're talking about I think he was
right?
Brian. Brian is the safeties coach, but actually Steven is the outside linebacker coach now. He was a safety coach before, but now he got moved or promoted, however you want to look at it, to the outside linebackers.
Nice.
What I found interesting about this was neither one of these guys has played any kind of football outside of Steven being a long snapper for Greg Schiano at Rutgers for one season. I mean, I don't know how good you have to be a long snapper. I'm not gonna was it Garrison Sanborn, who was ours forever? I'm not gonna poo-poo on his name, but when you're looking at a head coach, you're looking at positional coaches. You would think they have played that position at a higher level than at least high school. I don't know if he even played high school. They were lacrosse players, both of them.
Yeah. When you're a position coach, I completely understand that. I mean, again, I've only ever played safety. Like you know what I'm saying? Like that's the furthest side, that the closest I got in Little League, and then my mom hated the fact of me getting hit and all that kind of stuff. So I never got a chance to play again after that. But I do think that there's something to where Bill is trying to take them. Absolutely. In terms of getting into coaching, and especially at the professional level. There's something to be said for the kind of mind that he has, his ability to teach, and the other thing too is, keep in mind, and this is not a generalization of anybody who's a child of anybody, but usually when you are immersed in an atmosphere around someone who is or who has been widely renowned as a defensive coaching genius, I think there's something to be said for that. I think there's something to be said for their ability to learn the kind of nuances of the position and stuff like that from dad, and be able to kind of just translate that information or transliterate that information to the position players. So I don't know if I'm willing to go as far as to say that's a problem,
right?
But I do think that the players would probably prefer someone.
Yeah,
who's
especially if you're bad.
Position.
If you're really bad, or if if the owners and high uppers start hearing stuff that they're not supposed to hear, I wonder where it came from. Is there a mole somewhere? But I think to be honest, that goes into how we ended the last show, and we talked about Dorsey in terms of moving up and having a rookie.
Yeah.
I think this is kind of the proof in the pudding that a guy can be, brought in and get a good job based on the fact that he learned under somebody with the name, somebody that's done it before, somebody that can teach if he's willing. If he's telling the media, that's all I like to say about that. Next question about what kind of dad was he? And I'm not even trying to slander him. In my mind, I'm just curious. What kind of dad was Bill? What is it in the Belichick household when you bring that C home on your report card, and and you got to give it to your dad? Like, what does he do to you? You're
probably running some laps or something.
You
like
doing
that.
something?
Like, you doing something.
I mean, it's just like my own curiosity. I'm like, what does it do to you? What happens when you piss off your dad when he's Bill Belichick? He's got to be a nice guy, I guess. I mean, you saw with I don't know. Did you see the clip of when Randy Moss had the maybe it wasn't Randy Moss, but he had the costume party?
Mm-mm.
You didn't see that?
No.
Hilarious. No, it was Ocho Cinco. He walked into to Belichick's office.
Yeah.
And he was like, I'm just going to tell you, you don't have to come or anything like that, but we having a costume party, and it was a Halloween party. He said you can come if you want, but said, when is it? And he was like. He told me, he was like, I'll be there. He's like, you gonna be there? And you're just joking out. He was like, all right, whatever. This man comes to the costume party with a pirate outfit on with his wife. Yeah. And is in there mingling with the players like they're friends. Like, he's just like this kind of guy. So he does turn it off. But he doesn't want us to know he turns it off. And I thought that was, you could look it up. You can YouTube it. And it's there. And I thought it was hilarious.
I imagine he's got like a row of like maybe 10 hooks in his closet.
That's it.
And whenever his children act
all hoodies.
No, it's not hoodies. On all of those hooks are clipboards. And that's what he spanks his children with.
That's it.
He's going to break a clipboard over that backside. We'll teach you this
or
time.
Or the phone, that little corded phone that he has on the sideline when he
He spanks him with it and then throws it. It's practice for the game for him. No,
I digest. Obviously, we're just gonna have some humor with this, but no, we do respect. I respect New England's their organization. Truthfully, I still have the Bills as a slight edge, but in non-biased observation, I do think New England's on the rise if they run this the right way, and that will segue again into your strengths. So we'll just get through weaknesses.
It sounds like you are begrudgingly moving as slow as possible.
Not to, because I know where this is going to go. I know exactly where this is going. The last weakness I will say, because it's near and dear to my heart, is drafting. They're really bad at drafting.
Oh my gosh!
It's like they.
Well, who's their GM?
Belichick, pretty much, isn't it?
Right.
Yeah. So it's abysmal. It's abysmal. I had scratched my head at our drafts, but when you take what was the guy Strange, that center they took at the end of the
Cole
21
Strange,
draft?
yeah, he's still on the team.
They
actually have him at left guard now.
Yeah, I mean, you took him in the first round. Like he was like a fourth round grade. So that's just Belichickian. That's what he does. But he also doesn't like to bring in a lot of outside free agency. He likes to build through his draft, which is kind of neutered the Patriots in the sense because you can't draft for help, but you're also refusing to pay big money for help, which some merit goes towards. But you have to recognize your deficiencies and fix them sometimes when they arise.
Yeah. This offense, man, I tell you what, I think the establishment of Ramondre Stevenson as the bell cow back. Ooh. Ty Montgomery being that spell back, that third down back, he's gonna fly in that role. I really like him for that role. Looking at this offensive line, man, I mean Riley Reif, Mike Onwenu, David Andrews at center, Cole Strange at guard, Trent Brown. I think your weakest point is probably Mike Onwenu. I mean, probably at the very worst, Cole Strange he was decent for for everybody saying that he went ahead of his draft status or his projected draft status. I think he did a pretty decent job last year. You don't really hear his name too much, right? But you look at the tight ends, Henry Hunter and Mike Gesicki. Those boys can eat.
It's going to be a big difference from Jonnu Smith.
100%. And the other thing too, Jonnu Smith, he wasn't a bad tight end.
He just didn't fit.
Right. Yeah. Right. Because he's not a technical route runner. He's not a great blocker. He's kind of a tweener guy. You gotta give him space to create. But
I mean, honestly, to be fair though, you look at what was he supposed to fit. They didn't have an offensive coordinator. They had no identity. You had a failed head coach from Detroit come over there and try to run an offense. Yeah, it just was a train wreck. It was a train wreck.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. I think Belichick was trying to get back to, what he had when he had Hernandez and Gronkowski.
Right.
And funny enough, that's what the Bills are doing. So
I think if we have time, there's a couple similarities that I found too, and it's interesting.
It's bad, is what it is. I mean, you got your head coach basically doing all the drafting in the same way that the Patriots are doing. Have Belichick doing all the drafting, and you can see now. While I would say maybe the Bills drafting has been somewhat better than the Patriots drafts, we still have yet to see if that is based on the coordinators that have been here over that span, or if that really has something to do with the front office help that Sean McDermott has had. I mean, the Bills at least have someone in the title of general manager of the team.
Right.
So that's one difference maybe there. But I will say, I believe, and this may be a hot take, I think their offense is going to be the strength of the team this year.
I mean, I can see it. I can see it. I don't think the defense is going to regress, but I can see the offense being at least a focal point because of the transition from low end of the spectrum to at least middle, mid, high. Mm-hmm. I mean, are we okay? We're done with weaknesses, so we can just air it out. We can air it out. We know where he's going.
Where am I going?
You know where he's going with this.
Where am I going? You don't know where I'm going with this.
Where else could you go?
What do you mean?
What strengths do you have?
The strengths?
Yeah.
No. So I think the offense can be the strength of the team because of the weapons that they have now. The core of the offense. I think having seen what the Patriots do defensively, I don't think it's going to be any surprise going into this coming year. And you just going to keep staring at me like that, huh?
Yes, I am.
You just waiting for me to get straight to the point?
Because I know, I'm going to let you go, but I know where it's going.
My goal, I'll say it this way. My goal is to prove beyond the shadow of a doubt that the Patriots are not to be slept on this year. I have been saying this since they have made one specific move. And I think just about everybody that I've talked to about this has kind of, made this little wincy face. I don't know.
Which I don't understand. I don't understand that.
I'm telling you.
I believe you, but I don't understand it.
Okay.
We just got it this morning, just before we started the show.
100%.
We just got it before we started the show.
I try to tell people, and they can buy it or they can not. But the stock is going to move regardless. And here it is. Here it is. You heard it here first.
I take it.
The hiring of Bill O'Brien is the entire linchpin to whether or not this team is going to be successful this year. And if they are successful, it is going to be on a large scale because of Bill O'Brien. Now, I've got information to support that. I've got data to support that, okay? Let's back up a little bit. Bill O'Brien was the offensive coordinator for the New England Patriots back when they went to the Super Bowl in 2011.
Yeah, he was there when McDaniels left the first time.
Right.
Yep.
He was only there as an offensive coordinator for 1 year.
Yep.
Okay? In that year, they were third in points for in the league. Third. Okay? Now, this is not the undefeated Randy Moss years where they were throwing all over the yard.
Right.
They went 13-3 that year. They were third in points for. Okay? Points against. They were 15th. Middle of the pack.
Yep.
Right? So they had to score points to win games, which means there's that much more onus or that much more pressure on Bill O'Brien to make things work. Now, I will take a step back and I will say he did have Tom Brady. Okay?
Okay.
Fine. They still ran into a buzzsaw in the Super Bowl with the Giants. Okay? So that kind of balances out in my mind in terms of Tom Brady and what that does for anyone as an offensive coordinator. Okay? Now, against the Bills, he is 3-2.
Okay.
And that includes the playoff loss that we had where it was like 19-10 or something like that. It was some low score.
Okay.
My point in saying all this is each of those games he scored more than 20 points. Each of those 3 wins. The 2 losses were, let me see if I have that. The 2 losses were, we beat them 30-21 back in 2015. And this is that would have been before Deshaun Watson.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. So okay. Yeah, I get it now. So you're counting the head coaching years too. Okay.
Correct.
All right.
And then in 2021 we spanked them 40-0. This was after they lost Deshaun Watson.
Right after ACL.
So when he had a quarterback who was competent, he could beat us.
You said it was 2021.
2021 we spanked them 40-0. Okay. The quarterback that year, I don't remember who it was. I can probably go to the box score and find out.
That wasn't Mills.
Hang on. Who?
Was that Mills?
Let me see. Who was their quarterback? It was Davis Mills.
Yeah.
Okay. So he can do the job with a competent quarterback. Okay. Now you're talking about giving a guy who took a team to the Super Bowl, right? You're giving him Devontae Parker as your number 1 currently.
currently.
Now they're still looking at trying to get DeAndre Hopkins in the building,
Right?
And they have the money to do it. They probably have the best shot, money wise, to get D Hop in the building, as opposed to the Dolphins and the Jets, who are the other reported teams in the AFC East that want to get him and are going after him.
And I heard Dalvin Cook's name brought up as well.
For the Patriots?
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah,
I wouldn't be surprised.
And
I don't know.
They have him backing up. If he's willing to split with Ramondre, it's a possibility.
Yeah. I mean, for fantasy purposes, I want Ramondre Stevenson to just stay the bell cow back, but I could see them wanting to have another guy there just in case he gets hurt, because it's happened last year.
Last year they used two, and it worked out well. So, fantasy purposes, all aside, you still would have a good outpick, because I had him last year. In fantasy, that doesn't say much because I don't know jack about fantasy, but I did all right.
You need to stop. Yeah, I did all right. You did way better than I did, bro.
I did all right.
You need to shut that down right now. Anyway, and then they got Juju as their slot guy.
Yep.
So you're talking about Kendrick Bourne, a reliable receiver, veteran guy, can make plays. Devontae Parker's your downfield big play receiver.
You still didn't mention Taquan Thornton, who ran like a 4.28.
Yeah.
All he knows is speed. He's a small guy, but all he knows is speed.
He's right behind Devontae Parker, so he's going to see some time on the field, no doubt.
And the best. Oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was going to say the best part about the names that you mentioned in terms of Taquan Thornton, Kendrick Bourne, even who was the tight end? Hunter Henry.
Oh, Hunter Henry, yeah.
And Bill O'Brien's offense. They are going to see volumes. They're going to see everything that they want. This is going to be a year of years for them. Mm-hmm. So not going too far into the weeds of what he does on offense just yet. Just know that those are three names that are going to pop up probably for the rest of the time we talk about Bill O'Brien's offense.
Oh yeah. When you think about a Bill O'Brien offense, think vertical. Think down the field. Think everything that you saw with the Texans when they had Will Fuller and DeAndre Hopkins. They really only played with two receivers. Their tight end didn't get a lot of work. They ran the ball. There was heavy play action, and you were either going super deep to Will Fuller, or you had D-Hop one-on-one, and you were getting him the ball down the field. This is a downfield vertical offense.
Which is funny, because what I found is he actually didn't run a downfield offense. Not in Houston, but in Alabama and in New England, he ran that Earnhardt Perkins kind of offense.
Yep.
Where everything was over the middle, and that's why I say, not to cut you off, but that's why I say that Kendrick Bourne and Hayden Hurst and those guys are going to eat, because especially against the Bills, who's our middle linebacker? Who's in the middle? And all this action is going to happen right where either Bernard or Williams are standing. You can move Milano over there, but you're leaving something else open. So I think what you see with Tua, at the very least, and I'm not saying he can't evolve into what you're saying, because you're right. In Houston, he did those things. He had speed. I don't think
with Mac Jones they're going to be doing vertical stuff.
Yeah, it's not smart, because that's what they try. It doesn't work. And Mac is not a bad quarterback, but it's just not his strength. Alabama, they didn't ask him to do that, and now you're paying him not do what his strength is.
Yeah. But I think overall, the point that I'm trying to make is that Bill O'Brien is an offensive coordinator who has shown plenty of capability to get the job done. He's already gotten the team to a Super Bowl before. All right, he had success as a head coach. I'm looking more at what he can do as an offensive coordinator. Right. And when you look at what this team was sorely lacking last year, they didn't have a mind that could operate either on the sidelines or in the booth and get this team to make in-game adjustments or come up with that play when you needed it to get some yards or to get a touchdown or get a field goal. This is a guy that can score points. He can make sure that his offense puts points on the board. Again, the last 3 times that we played him, he scored 20+ points. Right? I'm sorry, not the last 3 times, but the 3 times that he beat us, he scored more than 20 points. Now, when you look at that and you say, okay, well, how does that translate to how he's going to face off against the Bills? He's seen this iteration of the Buffalo Bills 3 times already. And I think 2 of those times were without Deshaun Watson. The one time that he saw us with Deshaun Watson, it was in the playoffs. And they won. Mm-hmm. And they scored 20 points. Mm-hmm. So it's not as though he's coming into this with, you know, I gotta see what it looks like playing against these guys. No. Belichick knows what information to give Bill. Mm-hmm. And Bill knows exactly what to do with the guys that he has to get the job done. Now, if I'm New England, I'm coming into the season feeling damn good because Mac Jones' first year, he had Josh McDaniels, right? Yep. They had no offense. None. Right. They had their offensive line was horrible. They had no wide receivers. And I think at that time they had just signed Hunter Henry to come in and be basically the biggest target they had. Okay? Mm-hmm. So don't talk to me about him having a real offensive coordinator and Josh McDaniels. They didn't have an offense that year. And I think that was the first year that Josh McDaniels came back to the team after his debacle in with the Raiders.
Oh, the Raiders, yeah.
Now, the year after that, which was last year, he had no offensive coordinator. What was Mac Jones supposed to do with that? What was he supposed to do?
Yeah, he was set to fail.
Right.
He was set to fail. And, I mean, just go back to your Bill O'Brien point, you know, in terms of him being established as a coach, yeah. But you think about why he's not a head coach anymore. It has nothing to do with what he did on the field. Correct. It was because it was a tyrant as a GM. They hated the fact that he wanted total control. Yep. And going to New England, you're not getting total control. You're going to be relegated to do what you do best. Oh, yeah. And that's running offense, and that's very scary. You know, the same kind of deal like with Chan Gailey. You know, everybody's not meant to be the top dog. Sometimes there's a level, there's a limit. Sometimes you have to stop. You know, you stop at your level and be great there. And I think once you realize that, hopefully Bill O'Brien realizes that, you know, you can be a top dog in college, right? But in the pros, you need to be an offensive coordinator because you're not gonna be able to run men the way you want to run men at all times.
Right. That's a great point. So, I mean, I think coming into this year, this is a guy who knows Mac Jones. He coached him in Alabama. He knows what makes this kid tick. I think this is the perfect match between offensive coordinator and and quarterback. And if I'm also taking into consideration I got to come up with a name for this. The defensive head coach curse, which is you're probably always going to be swapping in and swapping out offensive coordinators. Mm-hmm. They probably don't have to worry about that with Bill O'Brien just yet.
Yeah, not anytime soon.
Right. So you've probably still got Bill O'Brien for, I would say, 3 years. I think three solid years of success before people start really looking at him. And maybe you get a fourth or a fifth out of that because people have already seen him as a head coach before.
Well, easily. The reason why I say is because who's the New England coach? Bill Belichick. How old is he? He's 71. Yeah. How many more years is he going to go?
Yeah, Bill O'Brien may want to stay and take
that's
over.
That's part of what I'm going at. You know, and it turns out, and I don't want to deviate too far, but just to go into that part, I don't know if you noticed that Gerard Mayo was their inside linebackers coach. Oh. And he played in New England for, I think, 7 or 8 years, whatever it was. And he's got that position at the behest of Robert Kraft. Robert Kraft, that was one of his things he was adamant about. I want him to be is he trying to make him the heir apparent to Bill O'Brien, to Bill Belichick?
Gerard Mayo?
Yeah. I mean, that's some of the whispers. That's rumors. Wow. Also, you hear about the way it's run from the top down. They're completely different than the Bills were during the Ralph Wilson era, because the reason why they're so cheap is not because of the owners, because of the coach. Rob Kraft wants to spend money that Bill Belichick does not.
Right.
Belichick lauds himself on having all the money in the world, but he will not spend it. So I think, to your point again, Bill O'Brien being the head coach who wants the power, he's mini Belichick. He's a mini Belichick in a sense. You know, he doesn't have the accolades, but if you get the blessings of the owner and you want to be the man with the power, it's right there for you. You're not contending with the GM. You're not contending with somebody that won't give you the power that you want, because Kraft has already said, build me a winner. If you build me a winner, I'm going to be loyal to you. You get whatever you want.
Yeah.
So I think this would be a lockstep for the next move for Bill O'Brien. As you said, you got to read the tea leaves.
Yeah, no doubt. So that brings us to the next question, which is.
Well, before you go off of that, I wanted to ask, because I always say, who did the offensive coordinator work with? What quarterbacks has he worked with?
Mm-hmm.
Has anybody heard of, I don't know, Bryce Young? The number 1 overall draft pick, the 2021 Heisman Trophy, Maxwell Award winner, Davey O'Brien Award winner, Manning Award winner, AP College Player of the Year under Bill O'Brien?
Yep.
Who gets another young guy from the same system that was run at Alabama, from Alabama in Mac Jones?
Yep.
And I'm gonna stop because I know you want to do it. I'm gonna Michael Jones, because I know you want to call him something else. You know, McCorkle is
something else. How about his name?
Well, Michael.
You want to say who?
Michael.
Michael who?
Michael Jones.
McCorkle Jones.
Michael McCorkle Jones.
Right. Take the sip.
Michael McCorkle Jones.
Take the sip. That's all right.
You know what? You know what's weird about that though? What? Why would you open yourself up to such ridicule? Okay, everybody wants to know what Mac is short for. Just use your real first name. Just use your real first name.
No, when you're an athlete, and this makes sense too. I mean, you wanna own or use to put a chip on your shoulder what other people use to ridicule you.
Dude, Mike Jones sounds like a baller.
Mike
Jones sounds like a baller.
That does sound like a baller.
Mike Jones is baller.
It does.
And you think about it.
Mike Jones.
Right. I don't know the number anymore, but think about it. Now, and it's funny, I didn't think about it, but me and him have something in common.
Uh-huh.
Mac Jones is mac and cheese, right? That's what people might probably call him, mac and cheese.
Okay.
How corny is that? My last name, as everybody sees in opening credits, Hammond. Ham and cheese is what they used to call me in oh yeah.
Ham and cheese?
Ham and cheese. Wow. They thought it was hilarious. I thought it was corny. And you guys, I mean, you can do whatever you want.
Music background, so I probably would have called you Ham and B3, but you know.
But yeah, now moving on to your next. I ain't want to cut you off, but I thought that was something to bring up because I like to talk about the quarterbacks that the offensive coordinators are work with in order to kind of validate or refute the credit that they're given.
Oh yeah. I mean, I think all of that speaks to his ability to turn Mac Jones into something that they believed he could be, which is the heir apparent to Tom Brady. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? The next system quarterback that they thought Tom Brady was.
Right. Which is fine because if I could make the money I made that Tom Brady made off being a system quarterback, if I can get the accolades, if I could be goated for being a system quarterback, by all means, sign me up.
Right. Absolutely right. You know, so I think, man, you can't argue with that. Bryce Young, Mac Jones, Tom Brady. You can't argue with that.
You can't.
You can't.
You really
can't. And Mac Jones is, people would probably say, is the worst of the three. We'll see this year.
We'll see
this year because he's got an offense now. He's got some weapons that he can that I think anybody in the league would be able to work with.
Right.
And man, it should be easy this year for them.
And what was the position that you said was the weakest you thought if you had to pick one on the offensive line? Was it a guard?
Yeah, it was Mike Onwenu.
Dalton Risner's still out there. That could be somebody that they would pick up. You know, he was a starter. I mean, he's a good player. Yeah. Still under 30, so look out for that. But yeah, you know,
I don't know if I want to go that far to help the Patriots fans. I mean, the Bills.
Yeah, I know, but you know, in fairness and in the spirit of being honest and unbiased, I'm gonna go right there.
Okay, well, moving right along. Man, we moving. Okay, so next question is for the 2023 Bills. Mm-hmm. What kind of threat are the Patriots to the Buffalo Bills?
Bill O'Brien's offense is a major threat. Like I just spoke of earlier with Kendrick Bourne, with Taquan Thornton, Hunter, Mike Gesicki, finally getting the ball. Mm-hmm. I mean, that middle of the field is going to be wide open, and all these guys can move.
Wide open.
All these guys can move. You know, they scheme it. We talk about the Earnhardt Perkins before in previous episode. We talked about 12 personnel, which is eerily similar to what the Bills are doing. What is this position? This new position called a pass catcher. You know, they're calling Mike Gesicki a pass catcher, which is eerily familiar to what we call Dalton Kincaid. A pass catcher. You don't want to make him a tight end because he's not going to be online.
Yeah, it's like that H-back role.
Yeah, it's like and it's eerily familiar to the Hernandez and Gronkowski thing they were trying to build. Oh yeah, and we saw what that did. I'm not saying that Hurst or Henry or Gesicki are going to be Gronk and Hernandez, but I mean, you're set up for success. You're set up with a quarterback that is known to work with movers. You're set up with Ramondre Stevenson out of the backfield. You got a better offensive line. So you're talking about adding that along with a defense that was already ninth in the league, defense that is stout and does like to mess with people, likes to be multiple, if you will, in philosophy. You know, 1 week they might just pin the ears back and blitz you. 1 week they may drop back in coverage. One week they might show you they're going to drop back in coverage and they're just going to blitz you all day, or vice versa. Right. So the defense is something that you got to look out for. But adding to the offense, like you said in the beginning of the show, this is not going to be a cakewalk for not only the Bills but anybody that sets field with the Patriots this year.
I think that was very well thought out. I think that was very good, and I think you are 100% right. I think the threat that they possess that they present on offense now versus our defense is huge.
Yeah,
it's absolutely huge. They're basically going to be challenging our linebackers versus the three guys that they have in the middle, which is Juju Smith-Schuster, Hunter Henry, and Mike Gesicki. Yep. And I don't know if anybody remembers Mike Gesicki from Miami, but he kind of used to tear us up. And I think he did last year too, didn't he? The few times that we played.
He has the potential to tear us up every
really
time he plays.
Throw to him last year.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're right. He has the potential to really go off in that offense. So, you know, here's the thing. And we're going to find this out this year. If Sean McDermott still wants to run that nickel mess, this team is going to get destroyed by the Patriots. Yeah. You're talking about the uncertainty and the lack of ability to cover the middle.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, I meant to say the uncertainty of you know, run versus pass in the type of offense that the Patriots are likely going to run.
Right.
And what that sets up for plays over the middle, what that sets up for whoever the middle linebacker is, God help them, because they're either going to be too small to make a play in the run or not experienced enough to know how to really beat a play action play or run pass option. So what are they supposed to do at that point? Put Taylor Rapp in there as a linebacker?
Yeah, good luck.
Exactly.
Because you got Ramondre Stevenson coming up the gap.
Exactly, and that is the point. That is the point. Physically, are you able to stop this team from doing what they want to do right now? No. Schematically,
your front four is going to be just stout. Your front four, and you got to have Von Miller. I mean,
you
would have
probably not going to have him till what, week 12?
Exactly. You would have, and that's why I say that, because the only way to be certain is to have a Von Miller, is to have, you know, if Leonard Floyd does show up and we don't have a big drop off, which I could see it going either way. Honestly, I don't know enough about Leonard Floyd to really comment on him. I can just see that he's long and he's fast and he can't get to the quarterback.
Oh, yeah.
But I can also see where a Bill O'Brien offense can extort that by the quick release. You know, like we talked about with Tua last week, you know, a lot of predetermined route running, a lot of predetermined spots, and if O'Brien is who he once was, he's going to scheme them open.
Oh, yeah.
And he's going to scheme them open fast. And when you talk about vacating zones, vacating gaps, vacating spots on the field, that's what they're going to want you to do. When you have rookies, a second-year guy in Bernard, a rookie in Williams, they're not going to know those nuances yet. They're not going to see and contend with the Bill O'Brien brain. Right. So those are the things you really have to worry about. It's not about athletics at this point, because New England's never been athletic. Outside of Randy Moss, they've never been prided on their athleticism. They've been prided on their philosophy, their intellect, and the ability to execute. Yeah. And that's what's coming back to Gillette Stadium these years.
It kind of brings to mind the way that because ultimately the answer to this question really doesn't have anything to do with the Patriots. We know they're going to be great and physical and well, we don't know if they're going to be great, but we know they're going to be great at being physical. We know that they're going to possess the ability to do what they want to do to this defense based on the players they have and the scheme that they have, right?
Right.
And now with them having a real offensive coordinator who knows how to beat teams, it kind of brings me down to some of the things that Sean McDermott has done with his defenses before, and I don't know why, but the thought just came to me about Josh Norman and how Josh Norman got to be great in McDermott's defenses.
Yeah.
Thinking about the way that our corners play, if the way for the Patriots to beat this Bills defense is by getting the ball out quick and working the middle of the field, that sounds like the likeliest way that any team is probably going to try to beat this Bills defense, right? Now, what stops that? We talked about this last week when it came to how the Dolphins run their offense. You have to disrupt their timing. Mm-hmm. If you're going to disrupt their timing, what do you have to have your corners do? They gotta press.
Right.
They gotta play up. They gotta get into the wide receiver space, and they have to disrupt the route. They have to, if they're trying to work inside, force them outside. If they're trying to go outside, you gotta force them inside. Force them off of their spot. And Josh Norman, what made him so great was he was great at press coverage. He wasn't the fastest guy. He didn't need to be.
Right.
But he wasn't playing. He wasn't playing bail. He was very good at his leverages. He was very good at reading the body language, and he was very good at understanding what bracket coverage he had over the top,
right,
where the safety was going to be, and he leveraged that oftentimes, and he got interceptions like crazy. That's what made him so great. So I think the question becomes, what is Sean McDermott going to do with his corners? Because if we're talking about really understanding who you are as a Bills defense, and you're scouting yourself, and you're saying, okay, how are teams going to try to beat me? What can I do to overcome that? You have to put Elam and White on the field. They have to be your number one and your number two corner.
Absolutely.
And you have to let them press, because that is what they do best. Mm-hmm. When they're able to put their hands on receivers, get them off of their off of their timing, and you're giving your defensive line time to work at that point too. The way that this Bills defense played over the last 5-6 years, I don't know if I would count the first year, because they blitzed probably more than they did the following 5 years after that.
Right.
I think it was kind of overconfident. It was cocky. It was, we don't need to self-scout. We're going to do what we do regardless, because we're the freaking Buffalo Bills, and we dare you to try to get us out of playing nickel.
Right.
Well, guess what? You ended up with the no pass game. You ended up with the game against the Titans, where
Derrick Henry just runs all over you.
Right. So I think if I'm the Patriots, I'm feeling very good about going against this Bills team. And if I'm looking at what the Dolphins have on defense, if I'm looking at what the New York Jets have on defense, and if I'm the Patriots and I'm looking at what I have on defense, and I'm saying to myself, my defense is not that far behind the Jets or the Dolphins are probably, we got to see where they are. They might be a little bit behind the Patriots.
They're going to be tough. But, yeah, it's funny how.
But with Vic Fangio and the guys they have.
It's funny. It's funny, you think about every team has a new coordinator. Vic Fangio in Miami. You got O'Brien in New England. And then Nate Hackett, which for some reason, Buffalo fans laugh at the name, but he worked with Aaron Rodgers before.
Right.
And they have a relationship because Rodgers wanted him. Yep. He liked him. Why? And I'm not saying that to say, what are you thinking about? I'm saying, what do you know that I don't know? What is it, with Nate Hackett that made you go? I'm telling you, when we do the show, obviously we're going to tip our hand. Next week is going to be the Jets. But I'm really interested in delving into what it was, what the history is, what the philosophy similarities are between those two. But also, in to bring it back to the Patriots, when you look at what they drafted, I didn't realize they drafted 3 offensive linemen this year. They took 2 guards and a tackle, and they also took Keyshawn Boot, which was a troubled wide receiver with a lot of talent out of LSU. So he was supposed to be a low day 2, high day 1 pick, but his personality kind of got in his way. So I'm looking at this. If they have Bill O'Brien getting 3 offensive linemen and a wide receiver on top of what we've just spoke about, man, it's blessings on blessings on blessings for them. It's blessings on blessings on blessings for them. And I'm kind of, I got to chill with my spine when I saw that. I think Demario Douglas, he was under the radar out of Liberty. This is a good draft. Now I'm thinking about it, this is a great draft looking at it. Our work is cut out for us this year.
Right. And I think again, I think this entire episode is going to be don't sleep on the Patriots or you'll be sorry. And hopefully there's somebody that can get this message back to the Bills. You better start self-scouting.
Yeah.
You better start doing that ASAP, because if you think that you're just going to go into 2023 and just we are who we are and we dare somebody to beat us, they will now. They will now.
They have the ammunition. They do. You're right.
Exactly. The team that had a quarterback didn't have an offensive coordinator. Now they have one. The 2 teams that didn't really have great quarterback play in the last couple of years are gonna have that now. Like either Tua or the other guy that they have in Miami. Both of those guys have shown that they can play against our defense, and now our defense is supposed to be worse. Again, a lot of this is speculation because we don't know yet what the Bills' defense is gonna look like against live bullets, but theoretically, which we have no problem going into,
right?
Theoretically, if the defense is anywhere near where it was last year, I still am scared. I don't care what anybody says. I'm still scared. And if I'm if I'm the Patriots, I'm looking around the AFC and I'm saying, you know what? If we make the playoffs and we are, let's just say the Patriots are the 3rd team from the AFC East. Let's say they're the wild card team. Do we not think that the way this defense played last year,
right,
that they can't compete with the Bengals? They did.
I know.
They shut down the Bengals for 3 quarters.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
The only thing that stopped the Bengals in that game, in my opinion, was not having an offensive coordinator.
Yeah.
So we know they can compete with the Bengals. We know Bill Belichick has competed with Mahomes before.
Yeah.
And when he competed with Mahomes, he didn't have the same defense he has now.
No.
So if I'm looking at this, I'm saying to myself, damn, if I'm the Patriots, just let me make the playoffs. I got a shot. And don't let this team sign DeAndre Hopkins. Because if you have a playmaker on that offense now,
yeah, it's
over.
Which, honestly, if you think about it, that might be the downfall for the Patriots hiring Bill O'Brien.
Oh, as far as getting
DeAndre Hopkins and Bill O'Brien do not have a relationship.
That's a good point.
He was quoted as per the big lead and say, when asked about his relationship with O'Brien, he said, "We don't have a relationship." He said, "There is none." The reason why, if you think about it, and I'm glad you remember it, the reason why Hopkins was traded in the first place from Houston was not only his rift with Bill O'Brien, which we spoke about earlier today, in terms of his need to be in total control, his need to be that guy, which we've heard that about somebody else that we know near and dear to our hearts. But also, if you're telling me that you add on the fact that he was mad about his contract, I believe it, but I don't think that was the final nail in the coffin, because he still had 3 years left on an $81 million contract. He was getting paid.
Right.
He was getting paid handsomely. And you can work that out a little further down the line with somebody that you want to play for. Yeah. So if you read between the lines, have they matured? Will Bill Belichick be the force that can hold the two butting heads apart? And I think he can.
Yeah,
because he has a no nonsense policy. And look at his team. We talked about the Patriots before. Cam Newton, Aaron Hernandez, Gronkowski, which was for different reasons a head case, which we love. And we love. I mean, obviously, I played against Gronkowski in high school in basketball. Nothing bad about the family at all. But they're all personalities, we'll say, good and bad, and hard to wrangle, hard to manage. Randy Moss, Tom Brady, even. So you just keep going on and on and on. But Belichick he's reined them all in. Right. You never hear a peep out of that organization. Of course, the cheating scandals and things like that, which whatever.
If you ain't cheating, you ain't trying.
You're not.
That's just what they say.
Right.
I'm for real.
I mean, Kobe Bryant read the ref's handbook in order to get to know what the dead spots are and who's looking at where at what times. It's always an advantage. Unfortunately, he got caught. Whatever. I'm in the minority of Bill fans that says, I don't care. It's sportsmanship. I mean, like I said, I'm in the minority.
Yeah.
Because guess what? Tom Brady's going. You saying he stopped cheating? We've owned him. I don't care. That's just how I feel. Yeah, I would like in a ethical society to say, okay, do that.
Ethical society.
But I mean, my thing is, if you cheat and you lose, why should I care? Now, if they start owning us for the next 20 years and we find out that more Belichick gate is coming out, of course I'm going to say, okay, that's different. But at this point in time, and I said, I'm in a minority.
So you're saying that because the years that they cheated, they didn't win a Super Bowl?
No. What I'm saying is, and I didn't even know that. See, what I'm saying is, if your edge that you're trying to give yourself doesn't give you a foolproof edge, I just don't care. You're going to win some, you're going to lose some. But if you're telling me Tom Brady deflated footballs, what was his hands are smaller than Josh Allen's. Okay, so he got a better grip. I mean, did they win every game that they deflated the footballs? Did they win every game that and like I said, did they?
Well, I mean, obviously they didn't have to deflate the game every time they played.
But we don't know when he did it and what the outcomes were for every time he did it. That's my thing. We don't know what the outcome was. So for me to say, like we talked about before, I just don't have the time to care about that kind of, unless it's inherently just destroying the integrity of the game of football. So and
I used to have this what's it called? An injustice trigger.
I don't have that.
I used to have a very serious injustice trigger where if somebody was doing something to cheat, or if they weren't following the rules, or if they did something wrong, they need to be held accountable. And as a supporter of the Bills, that was a big deal to me, because not only am I at a disadvantage talent-wise, and not only am I at a disadvantage city-wise, now you're telling me that there's more odds stacked against me because you're cheating? Like, to me, that was like if it's fair and I lose, I can go ahead and scream at my team for sucking,
right,
or scream at my team for not making the right plays or the right calls or picking the right players and stuff like that. But if the Patriots were being lauded as this smart, savvy, dominant team, this force to be reckoned with for 20 years, and in those 20 years, they only got caught 3 times cheating, right? Think of all the other things that they didn't get caught for.
That's my point. That's what I'm saying. They got caught 3 times. We don't have enough data to really spend our brain energy.
Yeah, but you can spin that the other way. You can say, with all the winning that they've done, it would stand to reason that a decent portion of that has to be contributed to with cheating.
Could be,
right?
How's it? What'd you say? You said they're what'd you say? Smart, savvy, cheat better. If you're going to cheat better. Other teams are doing things behind the scenes.
Or you could just not cheat.
Well, you could, but that doesn't make it fun. But no, seriously. Seriously, think about it. The answer what shut me down is by you saying yes to this question. Do you think the Patriots are the only team that cheated? And if you say yes and you honestly mean it, I will acquiesce.
You know what? If I have to answer that question, I have to answer that question with the knowledge of whether or not other teams were doing the same things that the Patriots were doing,
or
in terms of watching other teams' practices and stuff like that,
or were they doing things that gave him the same benefit as what the Patriots were doing gave them? Because it doesn't have to be the same thing, but it could be something that gives you a similar benefit. You know what I mean?
Well, that's the thing too. I think there's a lot of things that you can do, outside of the normal information gathering that can help to give you an edge over a specific player on their team, or give you an edge over a coach that they have, or something like that. I think there's many things that you can do to try and give yourself an edge as a team.
Well, I can tell you this. It's been reported in Dallas, in Houston, in Minnesota, no, not Minnesota, maybe Minnesota, they can actually tap the visiting team's their communication. So it's been reported. Is that not cheating?
That they can, or that they have?
If they can, how do you know they can? I mean, somebody knows they have, and somebody's gotten busted. But my point is, just because they didn't get caught doesn't mean they didn't do it.
Right, but I mean,
and why is it
if they did do it, why didn't they win?
But why? Because they're not as smart and as savvy. But why didn't they? But my thing is, why didn't they utilize it? Or I'm sorry, no, backtrack. Why is it just a visiting side? And it's been reported, just a visiting side.
What do you mean, just a visiting side?
That you can't hear the home team's communication, just the visiting communication. Because of this, they say because of the satellite. Because why is it just that side? What have you done to fix? I mean, obviously they've had to fix it now, but that's my point. You know, I'm not saying it was right for them to cheat. I'm not saying it was right for them to take that. But what I'm saying is, with all these other things that come out, inequities, because look at it. If you go to a football game, I don't know if you've been to a live football game in a while, but when they have three guys on the side doing all these crazy arm motions and stuff, two guys are decoys, one guy's got the real play, and the quarterback knows which play it is. But then when they use the silent the transfers, 3 or 4 equipment guys hold up these huge cards behind the coaches and behind the guys doing the signal so that the booth can't see what they're doing. So. And this is, you'll see it. Like and some of them have cards with like weird faces. Like you'll have I'll just say Al Roker, and it'll be cutting fours. Al Roker here, the Baltimore Ravens here, Barney here, and a cheeseburger here. Seriously, it'll make no sense to us. And what they'll do is they'll hold it up. They'll take it and they'll hold it up,
right.
And then they do the stuff, and then they move down and they hold it up and they do. And so what I'm saying is, if you see that your offense coordinator walking around with the card over his mouth and because somebody's got the baseball, somebody's got those binoculars. Mm-hmm. Somebody, so I just can't myself, being a former, somewhat athlete, commit my brainwaves to like, oh man, they're cheating. I know they're cheating. I know. I mean, if Kobe Bryant can tell you what your play is going to be before you run it, there's not that much scouting in the world. He knows stuff. The guys know stuff, and I could be 100% off base. But my point is, when you say smart and savvy, they just got away with it, and now they're getting punched in the gut because they're not as successful anymore. Right. Because the cheating they may or may not still be doing, the cheating that was once successful for them, it isn't anymore because they haven't updated and adapted to what's going on in the league now.
Your comment section is going to be burning this week. Boy,
I know it's going to be bad, but what I'm trying to come back to.
I hope no Bills fans find this.
What they're gonna do is this. I mean, you gotta think about. And like I said, this is a unbiased show.
Oh yeah.
You got to think about when you're talking about the cheat gate. We're winning now. Now that Brady's gone, we're the top dog per se until this season. So whether they're cheating or not, it's not working. So to me, it's irrelevant. And that's kind of why I say I just can't commit myself to think about it.
Yeah, but so I think part of that has to do. If we're following that line of thought, you can't cheat and hope to be successful if you don't have comparable talent. So even if they were trying to cheat, it's probably still not going to make a difference because they don't have the horses. They can't keep up, right? And I think part of that was the Bills' problem back then too. Is maybe they did cheat in those games where they were playing super close and it was right up to the wire, and then somehow in the fourth quarter, Tom Brady got us, right? Maybe the Bills did have some kind of edge that they found or something like that. But I think when you're a team, now here's the other thing too. They didn't get caught with any of these scandals until after they had already won like 3 or 4 Super Bowls. So they were already being talked about as probably the greatest team in the last, since the Niners. You know what I'm saying? Or maybe even the Cowboys, but they won more Super Bowls than the Cowboys, so it had to be the Niners. But once you've done all that, then you get caught cheating.
Right.
I think that's probably what played into the mindset of or the issue that people had with this. Don't get me wrong. I completely understand if you're not cheating, you're not trying. I get it, right? But if you've already done all that winning, why do you need to do that? Like, you've already established yourself as a team that competes every year. You've already got, I think at that point they had already matched the most Super Bowls for any head coach at that point after they got their 4th. So you're already in the history books at that point. Why try to take it a step further and start pulling from people's practice, pulling video from people's practices? Why, deflate footballs?
The quick response to that is, why does Drake keep gambling? You got millions upon millions upon. You can't help it. Like, you're addicted at this point. That's how I look at it. You're addicted. That's your way of life. Okay. And I'm not saying that's the Patriot culture. What I'm saying is, when you have a taste of something, a taste of success, and that's how you got there, it's just hard to turn it off. It's just a hard thing to stop, or you relapse. You'll be doing good, and you're like, what? I just don't have the intel I wanted to have. I really need this game. Let me just one more time. Let me just do it.
And that video, baby.
Yeah, I need it, baby. But to try back to the way that they play, the way, and I think, I think when you were talking, I think it wasn't even the fact that I don't care about the cheating. I think I just didn't care because we were a soft team for the whole time, and I just wanted. That. So
Nate you were probably just mad at the Bills. More I was so more,
because I never, as you know. When's the last time I played with a team on Madden outside of the Bills? Have you known me to use a team? But see, that's the thing.
We almost always let you have the Bills.
Because I'll kick and scream until I get it. But the thing is, like, on Sundays, I try so hard to watch other teams play. I'll try so hard to watch, the 4 o'clock game when the Bills are there. Yeah. I can't get into it because I know the red, white, and blue that I watch at 1 o'clock. That's my weekend. For me, that's all. I don't live, eat, sleep, and breathe football. I live, eat, sleep, and breathe.
Even in the fantasy football world now, like
even then,
you still don't.
And that's why I play it, because that's how I keep myself engaged in the football.
Right. That makes
so
sense.
when I'm watching the Bills, I want to dominate, man. I don't care if they win or lose. And the thing is, when you talk about the teams that we had when we were losers, if we smack somebody in the face. If we came up with a big play, a big hit, a dominating something, I didn't care if it was a season. I was excited. I was happy. I didn't think we were going to the Super Bowl, but that made my day. So if you're telling me that the Bills got cheated by the Patriots, but I'll just say we took Tom Brady out of the game just because everybody knows Tom Brady's numero uno hate in Buffalo. Not nothing dirty, but for instance, just got that off the edge big hit. He didn't see it coming. Yeah. I'm pumped. And at that point, my adrenaline's to the point where I don't care I didn't see anything else in this game because we did something monumental. Nobody hits Tom Brady. I don't care if a flag, how they say, I don't care if a flag happens, in basketball, just go follow him hard so he knows you're there.
Right.
I just wanted that one time.
You just wanted to pop him.
I just wanted to pop somebody one time. Yeah. Especially when a helmet could come off, and not get suspended for half a season. Just let them know you're there.
Yeah.
And we didn't. So when we didn't do that, I couldn't care about anything else. And I think that's where I live. It's not a hatred for the Patriots. It's not calling out their cheating or whatever they did. It's the fact that I didn't see my team doing enough to combat or be mad enough that you're being cheated out of a game by the refs, by another team, by whoever, that you go there and you inflict some kind of damage. This is a violent sport, and you didn't inflict any damage. You didn't exact any kind of revenge at all. I can't care. I could not care less, and that's how I thought about it. So long-winded way of saying I know what you're saying, but my brain clouded me. I'm clouded out of the rational sense of what's really happening because my team is just being punked, and that's how I looked at it.
Yeah. Wouldn't it be hilarious? Wouldn't it be hilarious if we found out 2-3 years from now, whether McDermott's here or not, that the reason they lost against the Chiefs in that AFC Championship game was because they weren't able to cheat, because they were at somebody else's stadium and they couldn't hear the home team's plays. Like, that would be the greatest thing ever. Like, this is the reason we've been trying to get home field advantage for so long, is so that we can hear the away team's plays and stuff like that. That would be great.
I would. Oh man,
we've been this good because we've now adopted the Patriot way, and we've been cheating for as long as possible at home. And because we don't have home games in the playoffs, we haven't been able to make it to the Super Bowl.
It still didn't work. My head would explode. My head would explode.
Listen, this defense, I expect it to be, I want to say, better than it was last year in terms of their coverage ability. I think the rookie they drafted, Gonzalez, I think he's the real deal. I think Kyle Duggar, another year into that system, he's going to be much better. Excuse me. And then, Jonathan Jones, he's I would say he's a great corner, but not great at the level of Xavier Howard. Like, I would consider Xavier Howard at the top tier of great, not elite, right? I mean, at least at this stage of his career, he was at one point the best corner in the league with that 10 interception year that he had. But and then Adrian Phillips, more that box safety type of player. I like what they have on defense. It is surprising that they're sticking with the 4-3. Actually, no, I'm sorry. According to this, they're going back to the 3-4.
Really? They haven't been a 3-4 since 2011.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
If you look at the depth chart, they got Dietrich Wise at defensive end. They got Devon Godshaw at nose tackle, and then Christian Barmore at a defensive tackle spot.
That would make sense. So Matt Judon could be that linebacker.
Yeah, so Matt Judon is weak side. Jawan Bentley is middle linebacker, and Jelani Tavai is the strong side linebacker.
Is Uche going to be the other starter?
Uche right now looks like a backup to Judon.
A backup? Wow. I thought Uche was good last year. I thought he definitely deserved to start.
Tavai right now is in that slot. I mean, that's where it is. So, and then they got they got Chris Board. Came from Detroit. Middle linebacker. So their middle linebackers Jawan Bentley and Chris Board.
They got Anthony Jennings. I think he went to Alabama.
Yep.
Olakuni Fadakasi, Terrace Hall. Yeah, they got a nice little linebacking group there.
Yeah, not bad. Not elite, but I mean, I don't really know much about Tavai.
I think the
Mac Wilson I thought was supposed to be a coverage guy for them.
The Patriots have always been some of their parts, though. That's how they survive, So that's why I'm like, I see these names, I know they produce. So they're not stars, but together, that's kind of tough. And they went to a 3-4 too. Wow.
Yep, going back to a 3-4. So I don't know, man. I think that speaks volumes to how they like their corners, because usually in an odd front, there's a little bit more pressure on your corners to play, a little bit more man coverage. Usually in the zones out of an odd man front, your responsibilities as a corner is you're probably going to see more cover 3. But again, it depends on what their linebackers are able to do. They might need the corners to compensate. Might need some some extra help there. But anyway, moving right along to the final question of the day. How many games do you see this team winning against the Bills this year? Play them twice.
Do I see the Patriots beating the Bills this year? It's not going to be 2. I don't see them winning 2. If the Bills are healthy, I'm going to say not yet. I'm going to say not yet if the Bills are healthy. But next year it might be a different story. But I have to see them. I mean,
So you're not even giving them 1?
Right now I'm not going to give them 1.
Really?
Right now I'm not. Only because I have to see it.
Oh, no.
You going to say 2?
Oh, no. No, I don't think. I think they'll get 1.
Yeah.
I think the Dolphins have more of a shot at getting both games than the Patriots do.
Yeah.
But I need to see the schedule.
Yeah, and like I want to leave it open for change, because that's a very loose. Bills still come out 2-0 against them, very loosely. I reserve the right to change would be the week before we play.
No.
I reserve that right.
You can't do that. Nope. You pick now, and that's it. Over.
Lock in your answer.
All right. So let's see here. The first Patriots game takes place in week 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, week 7, October 22nd. It's a 1:00 game, and
that's 2 weeks after the Dolphins, right? We play the Dolphins week 5.
Yes, sir. That is, yeah. It's 2 games after the Dolphins. So we're at New England. So the first game is at New. See, that's, to me, that's dangerous. You haven't seen that defense yet. They're 7 weeks into their offensive scheme. They're 7 weeks into their defensive adjustments. That should be a solid team by week 7, especially with let me look at what their schedule is going to be.
I think it's just, for me, it's just tough because there's so many unknowns. Neither side of the ball, neither side of the field is going to know. We're not going to have an identity right now because we don't know what McDermott's doing on defense, and we don't know what McDermott's defense is going to do versus Bill O'Brien. So I think in my mind, that's kind of where I am with it, and I get it. And that's why I say it's a very loose, very weak. Not yet, but I get it if they do 1-1 or heaven forbid they take 2.
This will tell us how good we think they're going to be. Check this out. Well, let's just go through their schedule real quick and then we'll close from there. Week 1, Eagles. Win or loss?
They're gonna lose that.
Okay, starting off 0-1. Week 2, night game. At Dolphins at Patriots.
I think they'll win that. I think they'll beat the Dolphins.
1-1. Week 3, Patriots at Jets. Afternoon game, 1 p.m.
Nah, they lose that.
Okay. So 1-2. Week 4, Patriots at Cowboys. That's a evening game. Well,
at Cowboys?
Afternoon, yeah, at Cowboys, 4:25.
Patriots at Cowboys. They'll win that.
Okay, 2-2. Next week, week 5, Saints at Patriots, 1:00 game.
They should win that.
Now they're 3-2. Okay. Patriots at Raiders, 4:05.
They'll win that.
So now, okay. So now we're talking about a 4-2 team.
Yeah.
Right? 4-2 team going back home after whooping on the Saints and the Raiders, who are probably not going to be great teams because we're not hearing good stuff about Garoppolo.
Exactly.
Right?
Exposure.
Exactly. So Saints, Raiders, then Bills. I don't see why they wouldn't be, and maybe even Cowboys, because who's their offensive coordinator this year? Is Mike McCarthy taking that over?
I think so.
Right. So their offense is not going to be as good, in my opinion, because Mike McCarthy is a little more old school with his offense than most coaches in the league right now. Right. So I think they can beat that Cowboys team. I think theoretically, if we're following this through, the way that I'm saying, it's a 3-game win streak going into that home game against the Bills. Mm-hmm. You're giving them a 2-game win streak going home against the Bills. Mm-hmm. In either case, they got confidence boost. They figured themselves out by week 7, and they're at home in their first game against the Bills. Now, for those of you who are Bills fans and you want to say Josh has owned that team, that's why he got the Gillette endorsement, blah, blah, blah. Okay.
You like bringing that up.
I do. I really do. Let's how did Josh do against the Patriots last year? Did he eat him up?
He ate him up. He ate him up.
You think he ate him up? I think the Patriots ate that.
Actually, no, you're right. Last year,
lunch.
Last year, no. Yeah, they should have lost that game.
Right. They
should have lost that game.
They probably should have lost both games.
Yeah.
Right. That offensive line got destroyed.
Right.
And on top of that, the offensive coordinator didn't have any answers for Josh Allen. So he's out there running around trying to make plays the best way he knows how. Now Josh is coming into a year where he's got beef with his wide receiver. Yes, I put it out there. He's got beef with his wide receiver. There's been a lot of buzz lately about.
Oh yeah, that's out there. That's out there.
You know, people saying that, or actually this podcast that people were talking about this week, where he was saying that everything was overblown by the media. Blah, blah, blah.
With Taylor Lewan.
Listen. Diggs has a problem with Josh Allen's work ethic. Mm-hmm. He doesn't study like he should. He doesn't prepare like he should. And I think he doesn't work out or keep his body in shape like he should. We've established this. Like this you can't hide this stuff.
Yeah,
this is stuff that's everything that we're saying you can go watch tape and figure out. Yep. Like it's not rocket science, okay? So your star receiver, who was not only a star receiver here, he was a star receiver in Minnesota. So he's bona fide. He's verified. Like, leave the dude alone. He's got an issue with the way that your quarterback is preparing. Now, I have heard this would have been 3 years ago when Josh was coming into his own as the starting quarterback of this team.
Right.
Bean and McDermott went to Josh and they asked him to start looking at what Tom Brady does and follow the TB12 method. They wanted him. Oh, wow. Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Oh, yeah. They wanted him to start preparing and doing the things that Tom Brady was doing back then before he even became Josh freaking Allen. Okay? They had a hard time convincing him to do that back then.
Right.
Because he was hard. He wanted to do it his way.
And it worked up until now. Yeah.
Absolutely. But again.
Yeah. No. Yeah. And I'm going right to your point.
Right.
Yeah.
So you can't get your quarterback as a coach and as a GM to prepare the right way, do things the right way, respect the game the way that he should. Now your star receiver has a problem with him. Probably wanted to go talk to the GM and the head coach about it. Yo, I don't need to see anything. I could just look at Josh and I look at his gut and I could tell he ain't did nothing. That's probably what it was. He probably saw him a few days before. They were in Buffalo weeks before training the OTA started. So if I'm Diggs, I'm looking at this and I'm saying, yo, this is the guy that's supposed to be leading us. Nobody knows how he is behind the scenes. Nobody knows that he just goes out there and thinks that because he's bigger, stronger and faster than most people around him, he can just do whatever he wants. Right. Like, he's not seeing me when he's supposed to be seeing me out there. I'm reading this offense when I'm at my position, when I'm lined up before the ball is snapped, and I know that based on what I'm seeing, I'm supposed to be open at this point.
Right.
Is he looking my way? No.
Right. Yeah, because we've seen it. We've seen
exactly
a film of him waving wide open as he's strutting to the end zone.
Right.
And nobody's even looking at him.
Right.
We've
seen him holding his hand out like this when the ball is overthrown. Like, if you was on your job, this would be in my hands for a touchdown right now.
And the thing is, Bills fans will make the excuse that the ball was already out of Josh's hands before he got that open. He was open because the ball was already out of Josh's hands, or blah blah blah. And I mean, in some instances, of course that might be true, but tape don't lie.
Right.
All 22 don't lie. I've been told, I watched it. And like I said, it's mostly going to be Bills related, but I've watched all 22. And to go back to your exercise about where we are with the Patriots, I mean, you're looking at the Bills schedule, you're looking at the Dolphins coming to town, followed by the Jaguars, and then the Giants. You're playing the Patriots off of the Giants game. What is that? I'm guessing a Sunday night game. They're going to be juiced up.
That's going to be a slobber knocker right there.
They're going to be juiced. But see, my thing is they're going to be juiced up after this 3. And I mean, going away to New England. Yeah,
you saying the Bills are going to be juiced up?
I think so. After playing the Giants against Dable on a primetime game.
Yeah, but
and especially if they win,
think about how much energy you're going to exert in that game. Like that's
also if you win these 3 though. If you win 2 out of these 3,
I can't be happy winning just 2 out of those 3.
Well,
like you're supposed to beat that Jaguars team. You're supposed to beat that Giants team.
You're supposed to.
The Dolphins.
But what I'm saying is the Jaguars team is new. They're high flying. They're going to be pretty good. They're not a walkover anymore.
Right.
The Giants team, they're going to have something to prove against the Bills because they have a couple of Bills that got outcasted by the Bills. Mm-hmm. So they're not going to lay down for us, and it's going to be a cerebral game. That momentum should take you over into that Patriots game if I'm thinking about it the correct way. I think that they're going to be playing because you're talking about a Patriots team who's playing against lower level teams, whereas the Bills are coming off a 3-game streak of higher echelon teams. I think even if with the Giants being, middling in the NFC, they're going to have something to prove. So I think they're going to come out with all guns blazing against us.
But who's more volatile? With volatile being the key term here from a negative perspective, right? Who's more volatile? The team coming off of an emotional run, a high energy run, or a team that is finding themselves, settling in, coming into their own, establishing themselves in the AFC? Who's more volatile?
I mean, obviously the Bills should be, but
right.
But we're still going back to playing 3 low-level teams in the Patriots, and I just feel like you said the Jaguars should be a win, the Fins should be a win, the Giants should be a win. So they're not teams that we're going into upset. They're just better quality teams, is what I'm saying. So for me, coming off better quality teams I should beat, that gives me more of a read than a team that's playing against low-level teams that they should beat. And if they lose any of those games against, that's blood in the water. If they lose any of those games coming up to the Bills game, there's going to be blood in that water.
No, I doubt that. I think.
Well, we'll see. I might change it. Like I said, I might change it.
No, you don't. You don't have the right to change it.
Hey, you said before the show, I'm so much older than you. I'm gonna kick and scream the way I kick and scream to change my answer. You just let me be.
This is what we used to go through with Madden. Like, yo, I want the Bills. No. I want the Bills. Fine, Keyshawn. Dang.
No, but I mean, honestly, I get what you're saying, but I just feel like the drop off from these 3 games is going to be bigger than the Patriots raising their bar to contend with the Bills coming out of, like you said, the Bills will be mentally, emotionally, and physically taxed, which is understandable because look at who they're playing before and the times they're playing. One of them is a London game.
Oh yeah,
but
and then the night game right after that.
Then the night game.
Oh man, no.
But you play the games, you win the games that you got to play. That's the way you do it. You like we said when we talked about last season, the Hamlin situation, the Snow situation, you win the games that you got to play. I know.
Okay. Then so you're saying Dolphins, Jaguars, Giants. You think they're going to go what, 2-1?
I mean, I would hope 3-0, but I'm just going to say 2-1 just because. I don't remember what we said when we did the exercise, but I just said that just because, if we do have a misstep in the Giants game, because it's right after the London game, I'll just say.
Okay.
So, I'm just saying that with regardless.
I'm going to be honest. The more and more I look at the teams in the AFC East and the teams in the AFC period, I'm getting closer and closer to the Bills not making the playoffs. Okay? Here's why. We've established now in this episode what the Bills' defensive weaknesses are versus the other teams in the AFC East ability to attack those weaknesses. Right? Defensively, what's the weakness of the Patriots?
The middle of the defensive line used to be. So I don't know. I don't think they did anything to fix it. But
now they got a nose tackle and two.
Yeah, they're going to a 3-4. So
two linebackers.
That could remedy it. So we'll see.
Right.
We'll see.
If I'm looking at what the Bills will be able to do defensively this year versus what the Patriots will be able to do defensively this year, I give the Patriots an advantage. I think the Bills.
I would. I would agree.
The Bills' best pass rusher at this point is Leonard Floyd. Okay? Von Miller's probably not going to be Von Miller this year, period. And I would not be surprised if they just let him rest until the playoffs. I mean, I don't think that's out of the question. I have to be honest. Maybe they let him play, the last 2 or 3 games of the season. But I think the way that they've shown themselves in terms of trying to care for players and trying to take their time with players coming back, especially what they did with Trey White, I think they let Von Miller sit for at least 10 weeks before they try bringing him back. Right now, what does all this mean? My point is, if the Bills are playing the entirety of the season and they make no upgrades defensively, they have probably the biggest hole in the middle of their defense in the entire league. They're playing either a rookie who's undersized or someone else who's undersized. And the only other guys that they have that are not undersized are super slow and can't cover. Right?
Is it the Bills you're talking about?
Yeah. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Okay. Oh, you're talking middle line. Okay.
Right.
Gotcha. Okay.
So,
I'm thinking about the middle of the defensive line. I'm like,
no, I'm thinking about I'm thinking about the middle of the defense period, right? Because that was one of the areas that the Patriots notoriously attacked every time that they've played us. They would bait Tremaine Edmonds, get him to jump up and then go right over his head or go past his shoulder or something like that. They toyed with this kid every year. Now, they're going to be able to do that again probably this year in spades because of who's going to be back there at middle linebacker. The middle of that defensive line, with the amount of responsibility and pressure that is on that defensive line to make all the plays in the run game the way they have been the past few years, I'm not going to sit here and try and pretend that they're all going to be healthy for that game. Right?
Yeah.
So now you're dealing with backups, you're dealing with guys who are not, who you're dealing with guys who are rotational starters and, stuff like that. Like that matters, right? Now, you take into consideration all of the deficits that presents for our defenses going up against every team that we're playing. We're talking about Jets, Raiders, Commanders, Dolphins, Jaguars, Giants, and then the Patriots, right? If we're looking at this schedule realistically, there's probably only 2 teams that we can look at and say they probably can't exploit the holes in our defense enough to beat us. And that's the Raiders and the Commanders. Every other team that we play, all the way up through and up until the Patriots, possess enough skill, enough coaching to exploit the holes in our defense, which are massive. They're massive. I don't know any way around that. When you have that big of a hole in the middle of your defense and you just leave it there,
right?
Unless this dude Williams is an absolute stud and comes in and turns into name your stud middle linebacker, I think that's a major struggle because.
I mean, I think to combat that, just like you said, And we know how you feel about McDermott. We know. So, and I'm not even trying to add humor to this. It's just the fact that, so I guess when I'm thinking about the freezer treatment, I'm thinking about the additions or lack thereof to the defense. McDermott has to have something. He has to know something, and that's why when you ask me, what do I think? I said I can't answer that because there's too many unknowns on both sides. The Patriots offense and the Bills defense. Obviously we've seen Bill O'Brien be a offensive coordinator before. Yeah. We've seen McDermott be a defensive coordinator before. But with these two personnel groupings, as it stands right now, I just want to see right now. I really just want to see how they look in the current state before I really can comprehend and think about logically which team I think has the edge. Obviously, on paper, the Patriots have a better, they have a good defense and have a better offense, not than the Bills per se, but better than it was. Yeah. So in saying that, like you said, they almost ate them up last year. We almost lost when they had Cam Newton.
True. That's very true.
So I don't know who's pulling strings behind it when they play us, but something's consistent. They have our number. But the last 2 times we played them, was it 3 times? It was the last 3 times we played them, we edged them out. Because that subpolar game the playoff game was an edge out. We gave it to them that game. I mean, we unmercifully unloaded on them. We have a perfect game day except for the last drive of the game. Yeah. But outside of that, it's been competitive. And the Patriots have been competitive even though they went 8-9 last year. So I get it. I get what you're saying. That's why for these exercises, until we see training camp and things like that and injuries, I'm always going to have that disclaimer. I reserve the right.
Disclaimer, i.e. built-in excuse.
Because what's going to happen is the fans, our watchers, going to say, he said this on. No, I said it because I was asked. I didn't formulate this thought at home before.
I'm going to continue to put you on the spot from here until that point.
I welcome it. Honestly, I do. I like it because it's good for what we do and the fun that we have. It's not scripted. People don't think that we're scripting this. It's not at all.
Not at all.
We came in thinking we were going to talk about Bill O'Brien, and we got into everything else we talked about.
Schedule we ended up
we talked about everything. So this is the show you get, and I love being a part of it.
So real quick, let's just finish up the rest of the Patriots schedule and then we'll close. Yeah. So all right, first game, Bills versus Patriots, 1:00 game at Patriots. You got them winning.
I'm gonna stay there for now. I'm gonna stay winning for now.
So the Bills beat the Patriots.
I'm gonna say the Bills.
All right. So at this point, that would make their record 5-3.
5-3.
Right, because you had a loss to the Eagles, you had a loss to the Jets, and now a loss to the Bills. Mm-hmm. And that's right. So 5-3. Okay. Next week, Patriots at Dolphins.
Ooh, that might be a non-Bills game I'll watch.
Really?
Patriots at Dolphins? Patriots
at Dolphins.
They're like doppelgangers. Both Alabama.
The Patriots had a night game against them already. You gave wait, did you give the Patriots the win? Yeah. I think you gave the Patriots the win.
I'll say the Dolphins take that one.
Okay. So 5-4. Commanders at Patriots.
Patriots.
They're 6-4? 6-5? 6-4. You might have to keep track of the record. All right. Colts at Patriots. That's a 9:30 game. It looks like that's probably going to be in London. If it's a 9:30 game, usually.
No, I'm just thinking because they have Anthony Richardson now, and they say he's doing big things over there. I was still say Patriots 7-4.
Okay, 7-4. Patriots at Giants. This should be a good one.
Giants.
Wow. Okay, so 7-5.
Yeah, I'll go Giants.
All right, Chargers at Patriots.
Chargers at Patriots. Is Herbert? Does he still have both arms?
The better question is, does he have all his ribs intact?
Right. I will say. Give me Man, these are close teams, man. This
Oh,
is
yeah.
yeah.
But this is why I think, like, looking at the schedule, I don't think they should have any problem making the playoffs.
Yeah. Chargers. For that one, I'll say Chargers for that one.
Oh,
I'll say Chargers
wow.
for that one. So that's what's
7-6.
7-6. Okay.
Yeah. Patriots at Steelers. Night game.
Patriots.
Really?
I think the Patriots. Yeah.
Wow.
Versus Garrett. Not Garrett Wilson. Who's that? Who's the receiver they have over there?
George something.
Yeah. I told you he's not a Bill, so I don't know. Anyway.
So that's what, 8-6?
Yep.
All right, 8-6. Chiefs at Patriots, night game.
Chiefs at Patriots?
Chiefs at Patriots for the night game.
Chiefs.
Okay. It's 8-7.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Patriots at Broncos, another night game. And Patriots are getting some
They're getting
love
some love
on the
this
night
year.
games.
I'm the Patriots. At Broncos, Patriots.
Really?
Yeah, I don't respect the Broncos.
Even with Sean Payton?
Not yet.
Wow. I guess I understand that. They were really bad last year. Bro.
They were.
Really bad. Like I had Russell Wilson on my fantasy team.
Yeah, epic bad. And Sean Payton's got to do damage control, so because they hate Russell Wilson. There's been rumors that the offensive line has not been blocking up to snuff because they're tired of Russell Wilson's mess. Yeah, so it's that bad.
Please kill our quarterback, please.
Right.
Please.
Right.
Who we got? Who's the backup over there?
It doesn't matter. Just kill this guy.
Right. Just kill this guy, please. We'll play with whoever. We'll play with a trash can back there.
Exactly.
Please get rid of this guy. Okay. Second to last game of the season: Patriots at Bills.
Oh man, that's when it was going to fall into the Miami trap.
They're
last game.
They're already 9-7.
But they're 9-7. The Bills will be either tied or could be taken over at that point.
No, they would have to be 9-6 because there's 2 games this
okay.
season. Yeah, 9-6.
So okay, so and that's in Buffalo, right?
In Buffalo, yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to say Bills.
Okay.
I'm going to say Bills.
So 9-7 going into the last game, which is to be determined as far as the time. Jets at Patriots. Yeah. The Patriots got some games that I would probably watch.
Yeah, Jets and Patriots, but the AFC East in general is going to be a must-see thing this year.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Assuming no crazy injuries. Yeah. Jets and Patriots. Wow. If that has playoff implications, I'm going to go with the Jets.
Okay.
Yeah, only because if Aaron Rodgers is faced with a chance to get into the playoffs, I think he will.
All right. Well, there you have it, folks. 9-8.
Wait, you didn't answer where'd you think the Bills and Patriots series is going to be? You didn't say 1-1.
Yeah, I think it's 1-1. Yeah,
okay.
I think I did say I
you alluded. I didn't know that was your final. Okay.
Yeah, I could see the Bills losing one of those games, and I do think that it's going to be that Week 7 game. I think.
Yeah, I could see one. I could see one possible. I don't think they're going to lose the series to the Patriots. I could see that happening.
Right. Especially at the end of the season when I think the Bills are going to need wins. They're still going to be playing for something, even if it's for seeding in the playoffs or something like that. I think the Bills are just going to be playing all the way through for positioning. So, okay, well that's it. Hopefully we have covered the Patriots. With all of the luster and gusto and respect that a Patriot fan would want. If not, we don't care.
We tried.
Yeah, we
really tried.
We came here and we did what we came to do. We talked about the Patriots and the threats that they present to the Bills. We hope you're enjoying the series so far.
I'm enjoying it. I like it. I know we're going to do the Jets after this, but if anybody wants to comment another team they want us to do after next week, I'm all for it.
Yeah,
I'm appreciating this.
Listen, if you're going to comment, be ready for the clapback. I'm just saying, be ready for the clapback because we're starting to get comments now, and I mean, I'm not with all the name calling. People can say what they want to say. Just try to keep it, less personal. We don't need to get into name calling and stuff like that. We can have a healthy debate. But come on, we're adults here. We're people too, and we have opinions. If you disagree, let's talk about it.
Yeah.
Let's talk about it.
Yeah,
You don't need to come at people's neck.
Yeah.
With that being said, anything else?
Hey man, I got nothing else. Just a joy being here with you and the Bills Nation, man.
All right. Well, please please subscribe. I found a place. I think I said this before. I found it's Printify.
Yes.
For the free Diggs t-shirts. So I'm gonna be sending you a design for to just see if you like it, and if you like it, we will have those. I want to say next week. I know I keep saying next week. I had somebody that could do them. But then that situation didn't work out, so I had to go and find a different route. So that's what took so long. But now I've got a place that can do it. I'm just not sure how long it's going to take to actually get it. So bear with us on that. But once we get it, we will absolutely make them available for purchase. And then we'll see what kind of buzz they create from there. But Keyshawn, if you don't have anything else.
Nah, it's just been a joy hanging out with you this Saturday afternoon. You guys, as always, thanks for watching. Thank you for feeding into what we're trying to do here and contributing just by giving us the views.
All right. For Keyshawn, I'm Aramis. And, of course, it's all truth, no sodium on the Post Podium podcast. Y'all have a great night.